YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back, and some big news that just came out of Miami here. Xavien Howard, the star cornerback of the Dolphins, could be that next big player traded. Talks are actually starting to heat up. His holdout is serious. He wants more money, even though he just signed a deal recently, and teams are showing interest. We're here to break it down. I'm going to give you the landing spots. We're going to try to figure out what teams are involved already. We're going to figure that out. I kind of place them in the tiers, why they can trade for them, why they maybe won't, kind of the positives, negatives here. You're kind of caught up to date on most important details if you follow us on Twitter, so make sure you check us out there, subscribe, and there's a link down below for that. Smash the like button, subscribe, all kinds of videos covering the NFL. We got you covered. Going through the landing spots in just a second. Some interesting details. Again, if you follow our Twitter, you're caught up to date. The numbers here, the Dolphins would clear $12.1 million by trading him. The team that traded for him would acquire that, but keep in mind he wants that raise. He doesn't necessarily want an extension. He's already signed through 2024, signed that contract 2 years ago. He just wants more money. You know, it's one of those situations. This was first reported by Mike Silver. The Dolphins are unlikely to give him what he wants at the moment. He actually could be fined if he continues to hold out. But it's right now, it sounds like it's a holdout or it's a trade. Now we can wake up one day and he can be like, all right, I don't want to hold out anymore. They're not trading me. So then he shows up. It's possible. Right now, it feels like, and it's hashtag National Nude Day. Just learned that right now by looking on the screen. But that's what it feels like right now. And there's already several teams interested. So we're going to talk about that. Here's teams that I see people mentioning. These are teams I know people will ask about. I know there's always that, Broncos ? Bears ? On Twitter or in the comments. So I'm going to touch on this real quick. You may say the Broncos because they have plenty of cap space. It's a team, that maybe Vic Fangio likes to just continue to make the defense better. Understandable. It really feels like they got enough cornerbacks. They spent some money on the cornerbacks. I guess the secondary in general, if you throw in Justin Simmons this offseason. They signed Ronald Darby to a big contract. He might not even be a starter. They drafted Patrick Surtain. It's equivalent to spending big money. You draft him very high. It's where you value him. And they brought in Kyle Fuller. It's a great secondary already. The Chiefs, everyone always mentions the Chiefs because the Chiefs are a team that is not afraid to get better. Tight future cap, you can understand why. They actually have a decent amount, more than you would expect, I should say, this year and next year. So, there's that. I don't really think they value corners that high. Maybe that's because they haven't really come across the Xavien Howard and that type of player in some time. They let Breeland walk for next to nothing. They're rolling with their young group. It's not a position where I just don't see them spending big. But again, we haven't seen them come across the opportunity of Xavien Howard. And they need edge so bad right now at the Frank Clark situation. With the cap space they have, they're going to have to get an edge rusher. Even if we heard, I kind of thrown it out there of the idea of them playing Chris Jones, Jaron Reed, and Derek Nottie all at the same time and only using one edge rusher. Well, Frank Clark situation, they need that Frank Clark. They're probably not going to have him. So they need to spend their money on edge. The Colts have plenty of cap space. I would love if the Colts added him. They don't value the corner. It doesn't feel similar as the Chiefs. They don't really value it super high at the moment. They're kind of going in. They're not really big spenders. They spent big with Buckner, took a risk on Carson Wentz. When you expect them to make moves like this, spend big money, they don't really do it. And do they have the ammo? Ammo ? Because do they have the ammo? Carson Wentz trade may mean the Colts are sending away this upcoming first-round pick. Maybe. It's a maybe situation if you remember. It depends on how he plays, how much he plays this year, Wentz that is. So they may not have that first-round pick. They can't really trade it. That's not possible. So I don't really think they have the ammo. On top of, I just don't see them being those big spenders when it comes to the picks, but mainly the money. Because remember, Xavien Howard needs the raise. He needs a raise. It's apparently win now teams that are involved, so that's another reason why you'll see some of these teams. The team needs to be able to afford him now and give him that raise. Cowboys don't really have the cap space now or in the future. If you look at this year, they're kind of towards the bottom. They have some cap space. If you look at next year, basically through 2025, they're pretty much at the bottom, or actually at the bottom in terms of available cap space. Of course, things change in the future when you cut guys, adjust contracts, but the Cowboys don't even know really at this point who they will cut, adjust in a year, 2, 3 years from now. So be great for the Cowboys, but it's tough for it to happen, especially because he's already under contract for big money and he wants more money. The Bears seem to be brought up with anybody that's available. It's a pretty big fan base, probably why. They don't have that first-round pick. They trade up for Justin Fields while giving away that pick, obviously. I don't think they'll value corners high. You see, I put for the Chiefs and the Colts, I don't think they value cornerbacks high. For the Bears, I don't, I feel like they won't. I feel like the Chiefs and the Colts already don't. That's my point there. Because the Bears got rid of Kyle Fuller to clear some space. It felt like it really feels like they're kind of devaluing a position like that, or devaluing defense in general, because they feel they have the pieces already. Their defenses are going to be good. They want to spend on offense. Remember, they tried to even spend more on offense, trying to get Kenny Galladay, Trent Williams. That's where their angle is right now. They want to spend on offense. They traded up to pick Justin Fields extremely high. Well, not extremely high, but they valued him a lot. They're valuing offense is the point right now. If they still valued corners, they wouldn't have got rid of Fuller in the first place. So I just don't see any, for those big reasons. 49ers probably need a corner, and they'll probably be mentioned, but they don't have a first-round pick for 2 years, so I just don't see that happening there. But that would be fantastic. Let's move on to kind of the wild card teams. It could happen, but there are some negatives. They're not really negatives, but reasons why it may not. The Saints, I think it's an excellent fit with the Saints. They'll run some man coverage, man under with their corners. I think that'll fit Xavien Howard. The Dolphins ran a mixture of coverages minus cover 2. And the Saints run 2-man under. It's actually different. Cover 2, 2-man under is different. Cover 2 zone, 2-man under. It's man with some safety up in the back. Safeties are kind of split 50-50. But, so the Dolphins pretty much ran everything but cover 2, but still we're more towards that man side of things there. So I do think it's a fit. And the Saints value corners high. We already knew that, but then they tried to trade way up in the first to get a corner. Was it Surtain? Was it Horn? Probably Horn, but either doesn't matter. Either one of them. They were trying to value the position high, which they already do. So they are looking for a big-time corner. So I can see them trying to make a push. They do have limited cap space. I'm not really talking about right now. I think they can make wiggle room now. They've been kind of clearing throughout the way by cutting, restructuring contracts. They're at the bottom of the NFL in available cap space next year. Of course, they will probably clear a ton once we get to that point. But how are they feeling now about that? So that's kind of the negative. But I have them in the wild card teams. I don't have them in why. It looks good, but it won't happen. Because you can't really rule them out here. The main reason is they will value a guy like Xavien Howard very high, as they should. Washington has plenty of cap space. I guess the question is it really a big need? They spent already on William Jackson, so maybe that's a reason why they won't. They have Kendall Fuller. Fuller could also be a damn good slot corner. You had Howard, William Jackson, Fuller. With that front seven, with those safeties, you got an insane defense. So you can't really rule them out there. Another reason why they probably won't, it's a wild card team, but they probably won't here, is because they may need to keep that really, what I mean by high picks, future high picks, the first round pick, the upcoming draft, 2022, because really is no guarantee on how Washington will be this year. I'm pretty confident in them. I think their defense will win them enough games, and their offense will be better than people expected. It's not going to be lights out, of course, but it's still kind of up in the air where the offense I'm not saying it will, could drag them down. They can get a pretty decent pick, meaning a good pick, and they don't want to trade that away. But main thing here, quarterback of the future is still a need. They still need a quarterback. They can win right now with the quarterback staff. They still need that quarterback. When you need a quarterback like that, you tend not to trade, first-round picks, especially for something that you don't. It's not a huge need. Anybody could use Xavien Howard, but it's not a giant, glaring need. So that'll be the reason Washington probably not. Raiders, plenty of future cap space. They're looking beautiful there. Very low right now. Can't rule them out completely since they don't have enough right now. It would sound like it, but they could acquire them, push some money back. It's possible, but it makes it less likely. These are kind of unlikely teams that I can't rule out here. They're going to run strictly cover 3. I think Howard could work on that. They may think they're set because I do like Hayward and Mullen. It's solid, but Howard's obviously a lot better than both. The Titans, I think it's a fit. They're trying to run more man this year, successfully, I should say. They'll probably run a little 2 under as well. We talked about the Saints. I think it'll be a similar. I mean, one runs a 4-3-3-4, but in terms of coverage schemes, concepts, I think Howard would be a fit there for sure. It seems like they're building a win now team. They're not They're not afraid to get better. They're going in. They want to do it now, or by now that doesn't necessarily mean this year, but that and maybe next year as well. They got that window and they're making it known right now. So they're really not afraid to do that. A little bit of a wiggle room there. They don't have clearly enough space. It's not, yes, they have enough space. A little bit of a wiggle room. Question is, are they set at corner? They may view themselves set at corner. Caleb Farley, Janoris Jenkins. They also have Fulton. They have a couple other guys that can play in the slot. So they may view it as set, and I think it's a pretty good group if healthy, but they could get better with Howard here. And then maybe since they made that big move for Julio, did they feel like, let's go, will it be weird? Will it be unnecessary to go make a big move, another big move? Or maybe they're not afraid to do it. Could argue that both ways. The Vikings, another team that values corners really high. They're looking to get better everywhere on defense, as good as they can get. They want to get back to playing good defense because they felt like their offense was the key piece of that team last year. Defense let them down. We know they'll value the corners high. They're not afraid to get better in that position. And I guess, are they set at corner? I kind of like the group of corners they got. Patrick Peterson now, Bashad Breeland. They got a couple young guys, Cam Dantzler, Jeff Gladney, if the off-the-field issues clear up. A couple slot guys as well. So they actually kind of look like they're set. They would get a lot better with Howard, similar to the Titans there. If there was a team between the Titans and the Vikings who are pretty similar on what type of corners they got, like they're set, but Howard would make them better, kind of in that category. If I had to pick one that would be more likely to view themselves as we need Howard, I think it would be the Vikings probably. 1-year deal Peterson, 1-year deal Breeland, small contract, could get out of it. They were really looking to get good veterans there, so they may all right, let's just get him. We can get him now. Let's go get this guy, and then we really don't need Breeland anymore. So I could see that. A little limit on cap space next year. I'm sure they can shift things around, but they could view themselves set at corner, just adding Breeland in the mix there. The Seahawks, by kind of the positives here, it looks like they should be in the next tier that we're about to discuss, that top tier teams, because it's a huge need. The Seahawks tend to trade for proven players. It's no secret that they'll do it, and they have, I'm cutting it off a little bit, so I apologize, but future cap space, they have it. They have a little wiggle room right now, not a lot, but they have that future cap space there to be able to pay him long term for sure. Sometimes they're a little hesitant to spend that stuff though, but the proven guys they trade for, of course they will. So that sounds like they should be in the top tier, but then there are some serious reasons why they maybe won't. Jamal Adams needs an extension, so that money will probably go that way. Of course, it can go to more spots than just Jamal Adams. Will they think that, though? Usually they're not that team to just throw it in multiple different spots, And they don't have that first-round pick this year. Remember, that's going to the Jets again for Jamal Adams, actually. So that makes it a little tough. I couldn't completely rule them out, though, because they have that future cap. They tend to find a way to trade for these types of players. So there's some big positives on why they will, and there's some big negatives on they won't, if you consider those positive and negatives. To the most likely teams to trade for Xavien Howard, I got four teams here. The Cardinals, I think it's an excellent fit. They'll run a lot of man coverage, and the Dolphins ran a bit of everything, a good mixture of everything minus cover two, but they were more towards the man, running man. They actually ran. You're not going to see a lot of teams run a ton of cover zero, but they actually ran a bit of it compared to the field, the rest of the teams. And what that is man coverage pretty much on an island, no safety help. They're going to blitz pretty much the house besides the corners. And the Dolphins were able to run that because they got corners like Xavien Howard, and he had some success in that. So that means what I'm getting to is he's trusted and he's good in man coverage, and the Cardinals run a lot of man coverage, and they blitz quite a bit as well, so they'll feel comfortable. Right now, they want to run that man, and they want to blitz, but do they feel comfortable with the corners they have? Malcolm Butler, in company there, which, Butler's kind of the best of the group there, which is not ideal for that type of team, even though he definitely has something left in the tank. So excellent fit. It's definitely a huge need. They have wiggle room where they can kind of pay him now and the future, but it's It's not much. They technically might not have enough right now, actually, but you have that wiggle room. You can. It's not hard to create it, but if you're kind of on the fringe, it depends on what type of team, what type of front office they are, how they're feeling on this. Sometimes if teams are on the fringe, let's not risk it. Let's not risk it. And sometimes I think the Cardinals would risk it because it's such a big need. It's such a good fit. It's something they need to make the rest of the front seven work a little better, and they weren't afraid to get better this offseason. They kind of made a statement like, "Hey, we're gonna go for it right now." So, which you got to respect. So I think they would definitely be willing to do this for the right price. The Steelers, another excellent fit. They'll run some man coverage there. They'll blitz, so it's a corner, top-tier corner that would be able to do that. Love the fit with Minkah Fitzpatrick getting two playmakers at kind of two different spots of secondary out there. And you have that front seven, arguably the best in football, to create for the secondary. It's a big reason. Well, Minkah Fitzpatrick is good. That's a big reason. But because of the front seven, it's able to create for a playmaker like that, make his job easier. You throw another one in there, you got some turnovers. That defense alone could win a lot of ball games there. And they have a pretty big need at corner. It's pretty much Joe Hayden by himself out there. Sutton could play, probably more of a slot guy. Plenty of future cap. A little tight right now, can make it work, but they got a ton. I'm talking league high future cap space next few years, so that's fantastic. Here's kind of a big reason why not to. They may need to keep that future high pick or picks, mainly talking about 2022 first round pick. You may say, why would the Steelers need to keep that? Because they have a need in terms of future at quarterback. Big Ben, is this going to be it? If you need a quarterback, there's rarely very good ones available in free agency. You got to go to the draft. If you don't have a first round pick, well, you are in deep crap, obviously. Especially, where do you think the Steelers are going to finish? I think people are pretty split for this year, but I think people have them kind of finishing in terms of draft pick in the middle or later. I don't think anybody expects them to be terrible. So even with your own pick, you would probably need to package some other things to trade up to get that quarterback of the future. Maybe that's not the route. It's very tough to predict even for them right now. So if you have that big need at quarterback for the future, not right now, but for the near future, are you willing to do this? But I know Tomlin will value a guy like Xavien Howard pretty high. So that is the tough part about the Steelers. Right off the bat, I was thinking Steelers, number one spot. That's where he's going. That's kind of what I was thinking right away. But you may need to. It felt like they may need to keep that first when they traded for Minkah, though, at the same time. Like you didn't know how much longer Ben had. They probably had a better idea than us, though. And they went out and did it. A guy in the secondary, safety, corner a little more important. So, yeah, who knows? The Browns, they definitely have the cap space. They're another team. I think we said it about the Titans. They're building a win-now team. They're not afraid to get better right now, so they wouldn't be afraid to go there. They wouldn't be afraid to make this move. Already spent big money on the secondary, and not only that, but they valued it pretty high by drafting Newsome in the first. It's kind of equivalent of that. So they kind of valued the secondary already extremely high, but you can actually argue both sides. So if they're valuing extremely high, then let's value it extremely high. Let's go for Xavien Howard. They may view that they're set because they have Denzel Ward, they have Troy Hill in the slot, and they have a battle of Newsome and Greedy Williams at corner. They have some safeties, but that's besides the point here with Xavien Howard, one of the best corners in football. So they may say that they're set. Another interesting thing is, it's kind of out there that when they got rid of Sheldon Richardson, it was to pay Jadeveon Clowney, but they kind of had this. They still have the space. So I don't know if that was necessarily true, but if they do view that as true, if the Browns, they have that philosophy, was it they wanted to save this money, or was it for good, or was it they want to save this money for a guy like Xavien Howard? Maybe. So there's a lot of things that you kind of can argue both sides. I do think he is a better fit for the Cardinals Steelers, but the Browns could change up their coverage concepts a little bit this year. And it's not that he didn't fit based on what they ran last year, not at all. I think he just fits the Cardinals Steelers a little better. But yeah, because the Browns have that secondary now, they pretty much can run whatever the hell they want, in my opinion. And then we got the Chargers. I think Staley needs a true cornerback one. I think people look at Aaron Donald kind of made that defense with Staley being a great coach, but I think what people forget about is that Jalen Ramsey eliminated about half of the field. Well, they ran a lot of cover 4 too, so maybe a quarter of the field most of the time, but he could eliminate, especially in man coverage, about half the field. They just didn't want to throw in that direction because he's so talented that he can adjust off his responsibilities, his coverage. So having that big cornerback one is a big factor. They do have Michael Davis. They do have Asante Samuel Jr. I love the fit of Samuel Jr. there. and he will be a cornerback one, maybe right away. That, it's a little rare for rookie corners, but I think he's such a good fit that it's possible he plays like a CB1 right away. They have Chris Harris in the slot, so technically they're okay at the cornerback position, but you get a lot better. If you throw Howard in that, in Staley's defense, those coverages, he can be a playmaker. He's already the best playmaker in football, back there with that front seven, getting after the quarterback as well. I think big things would happen there with that. I think it'd be great. It'd look great on Sundays. And they definitely have the space. They have plenty of cap space right now. They have a rookie quarterback, which is kind of the key to be able to do things like this. Not a rookie quarterback, second-year rookie contract is what I meant. It's kind of the key to be able to make moves like this. So they have all that set, So they don't really need to, trade or not trade because they need to keep their picks because they need a quarterback. Like I said with the Steelers, it's not that. They have Justin Herbert. They may need to keep their pick this year, mainly talking about this year, 2022 first, because the Chargers are kind of up in the air on how they will finish. New staff, second-year quarterback. I'm pretty confident with Herbert, but second-year quarterback, they still have some. It's a pretty balanced team, but they still have some needs here and there. It's you don't want to be too confident, like we're going to be great. You love confidence, but it's a rangy team. I can see them ending up with I don't think they will, but like a 10 pick, 10th pick or 27th pick. I don't just random numbers, but in that range here. So do you want it? Maybe Howard's worth that if you do trade that, but it's probably a first round pick plus some. So that'd be the downside of the Chargers. But if they're super confident and then having Howard, will he be that much better? Yeah, probably. Then that's definitely a likely landing spot. I really like the four of these for sure. I think the best fits Cardinals, Steelers, probably. I think you'd get a ton of interceptions on really any of these teams. The Steelers, Chargers, probably I can see him getting the most. I mean, he already does. He does it on the Dolphins. So I'm excited to see where this goes. The holdout will probably continue. It really sounds like the Dolphins won't pay him. They have a little bit of leverage there because they can find him about like $50K a day once we get to a certain point here in the offseason or preseason. So that holdout might sit there and he might be getting fined like that, and he may be like, all right, I wanted more money and I want to lose money, so I'm coming back, I suppose, here. Or he could be stubborn, or they can get a pretty damn good offer. Apparently there are several teams already interested. They're monitoring the situation. They want to do it. It's win now teams. It feels like now more than ever in the NFL, there's a lot of teams serious about winning. Before it was like a handful of teams that were serious. Now it's, I love the confidence. There's like a chunk of teams that we're going to win now. We're going to go get this guy. We're going to win now. We're going to do it. And you got to respect it. Some teams are a little overconfident though, and that could be a negative. So we'll see what happens. We'll keep talking about this on Twitter, of course, and I'll do a video on the scenarios. I'll actually make the scenarios. Wanted to split it up. It's a pretty long video. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Again, following that Twitter is extremely, extremely important. At Courthouse NFL, link down below. Please smash that like button, subscribe. We got a bunch of ranking videos going on, prediction videos. So check it all out. That is going to do it for this one, though. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.